Document feed problems on Ricohs. There is several different types of document feeders. The more common one today would be probably on the 4502, 5502 series. They have the ones out now that are the 4503s and even much newer models than these. But as of right now, with the age of the equipment, people will start to have problems with these versus the brand new ones. Now, these document feeders are very similar to the older models, which would be like the 3500, 4000, 5501. They're very all similar. So we'll just go over a few common problems that people have with them. First, on the top here, you'll notice these little sensors right here. These are mainly for size detection, so you just want to make sure that those are nice and clean. You can take a Q-tip and clean those out. Parts that need to be replaced every so often is what this little sponge roller right here. It's called the double feed prevention roller, and you can just reach in here, pop this out, and then there's a little C-clip that pops out, and then right there, there's that brass bushing, and then this whole thing will slide right out, and then you just replace that roller. Now up here you have a feed belt and a feed tire. Now generally I don't replace these feed tires. They'll last practically forever. You can, but this feed belt, they get replaced quite often. And what you'll hear when these things are feeding in, if this needs to be replaced, is you'll hear a loud squeak as the paper is going in. It'll go squeak, squeak, squeak every time a piece of paper goes in. And you'll feel it. It'll just feel slick as can be. It should feel nice and soft if it's in good shape. If it's in good shape, just take a little bit of lacquer thinner and clean both this and that. Now, if you do need to replace it, there's a panel right here and a panel over here. And on the back side, there's a little clip right there. And so what you do is you just take your finger and you pop this over to the left, and then this piece will come out like that. And then over here, you just take your thumbnail, slide this one over, and it will pop out, and you'll see little grooves like that when you go to put this back in, it slides back that way. Now this thing is spring loaded, and there's a gear, a bearing over here on this side. So you'll just take this whole thing, slide it over to the left, and then this thing will pop out. Then you can come over here. I'm going to pause for just a second. Now to replace this feed belt, you'll just take this little C-clip that's right here, and you'll pop this off, slide this bushing out like that, and then this thing will kind of bend up like that. Now there's this part right here, and it just pops off like that, and then this will slide out, and it's a little bit of a booger, just like that. And then you can take this one off like that, and then slide your new one on. Now you can just take this and go ahead and get this back in. If you want to go ahead and do this first, and then this will go just like this, and it will slide in there. Just get your belt nice and straight, pop it in, okay, and then roll it a few times, and there you've replaced the feed belt. Now to get this thing back in, I want to point out there's this little lever right here, and it will need to go down into that little hole right there. So you'll take this in right here, and you'll slide it in like that, and then you'll take this little lever and you'll pop it down into that hole, And then over here on this far side, you'll make sure that you get that bearing up in there like so. Okay. Now you've got this just flapping around like this, and it's kind of hard with one hand, but you'll take this, let's see if I can do this, and then just pop that back in there like that. Okay. And then this one will go over to the right like that, and then pop it in like that. Okay. Now you've replaced that feed belt, and you've replaced your double feed prevention roller. Slide your bushing back in, put your C-clip on, take your little cover right there, and let's see, do I go backwards? I do. It'll only go one way, so. Now, you also have some sensors in this machine, and it will be the same for those older models as well. You'll lift up and you'll see a little bracket right there, and you'll take these two screws off. And when you pull it off, in your machine is probably going to have a bunch of paper lint, and what you'll see is on that black felt right there, there'll be a bunch of paper lint, and you'll just take some canned air and blow that off. Now, one other place that gets missed a lot is up underneath here on this lid right here. This is the platen cover, and it's velcroed in, so you just pull that off, and I generally will take it and I will set it down right there in that corner, just like that. Now, the next thing that you want to do is you want to take your screwdriver and come up here to this screw right here, and that will take out this whole section right here, this whole section. And it's a little bit of a booger down in here, but you tilt this thing out like this, and you'll lift up on it and it'll come right out. And the other one will be right there. There's a little felt that needs to be cleaned. And while you're in here, it's not going to hurt to take a little bit of lacquer thinner to all these rollers right here. And you can see how dirty these are. Now, when you go to put this back in, it will go in this direction. Okay, so you'll see some little arms down there at the bottom, and they need to go down into that slot right there. And so what you'll do, let me back up here a little bit, is you'll get that bottom one in down there at the bottom, and I just, you can't see it, but it's down in there. And you'll maneuver that until it goes downward, and then up here, then you'll be able to get this one to line up. It's so dark you can't see it, but there's a screw hole right there. Let me get some light on it. Not much better, but you can see where the screw goes. Okay. So you clean that sensor, and now when you want to go to put this platen cover back on, if you just put it right there in that corner like that, and give this thing a good little snap like that, lift it back up, and then just press your hand up against it like that, and that'll be where it's supposed to be. And those are the things that will cause the most jams in these machines. There are some other things, obviously, that can cause jamming in this machine. One, if you get things feeding in like 5 or 6 sheets at one time, there is this little gear right here, and it's on a shaft that goes, let's see, right there. It goes from here to that one over there, and sometimes on the older models, this gear right here will split, and it won't turn. It'll just, this double feed prevention roller will just freely turn, and not have any resistance on it, it should be hard to roll this roller. That's another problem that you can run into. Oh, also there is a felt down here and right there. Take canned air and blow those two out as well, and that will take care of the majority of document feeder problems on these machines.